I'm Steph. Thanks for watching this video. Before I get started, a lot of people watch my videos, and I would just ask you to please consider subscribing to my channel. I'm not even up to 50 subscribers yet. I'm still a pretty new YouTuber. I'm trying to make something of this. I don't know if I'll ever be super successful, and that's okay. I'm doing it for fun. But if you like this video, click like, maybe consider sharing and subscribing to the channel. I sure appreciate it. Secondly, if you hear some loud noise, it's because I live in a place where the wind gets really bad, and today a storm must be blowing in because it's really bad, so you might hear some background noise. I don't have the quietest house as it is, but we're doing the best we can. All right, so today I want to talk about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, the Disney Plus show, and the 5 reasons that I was disappointed with it. I have been maybe not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I have been a fan. I was, I think, 5 when the first film came out, and my dad took us to see it, and I remember being terrified and awed, and I thought that Darth Vader was the scariest thing, and then I went to see the other subsequent movies in the theater too, and so I kind of grew up with Star Wars. I haven't read the books. I'm not like a super fan, but I've always really liked the Star Wars property. And of course, along the way, there have been some issues with certain, prequel movies and things like that that they came up, that came out and maybe weren't as good as we had hoped. But overall, I've always really enjoyed Star Wars. So I was kind of looking forward to the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. I wasn't really sure what to expect. I tried not to read a lot about it before watching it because I wanted to just go into it cold, like I had done with The Mandalorian. And I didn't love it. So this is what I thought. So the first thing, number one, I feel like the showrunners and the writers and the directors of these episodes didn't really know what they wanted this show to be. Most of us fans kind of expected it to be a story about Obi-Wan Kenobi living as Ben Kenobi on Tatooine and watching Luke Skywalker grow up from a distance and preparing for the day that he would train Luke as a Jedi. And along the way, we expected him to have some conflict and adventures and things like that. And instead, what we got, I feel like, was just kind of a mess. Much of the show focuses on 10-year-old Leia, who gets captured by the Empire, but I'll come to that in just a second. For one, wanted to see maybe a little bit of Luke growing up. I didn't think the show needed to focus on him. I was really more interested in Kenobi and his character than I was in having either of the children really very involved. Kenobi is shown going about a normal work day. He's hidden his lightsaber and he doesn't use the Force, and he's trying to just fit in as a commoner on Tatooine, which was promising. But then, like, the focus of the show really does shift to all this stuff with Leia. And that's my second complaint. I feel like it's kind of a big deal because it did take over the show as the show shifted and Leia became kind of this focal point. She's written as a precocious, disobedient, sassy little girl. She can outrun a group of adults in a forest. And maybe the word precocious is a little too kind. She's kind of a brat. She's this fierce little thing, which should have worked because adult Leia in the original trilogy is also fierce and brave and strong and smart. But in a child, it just didn't quite work. I feel like Lucasfilm, like the people who do the casting for Lucasfilm, just cannot find good child actors. I know that they exist. I know there are some very talented child actors out there. And maybe a lot of the problem is in the writing and the direction, but I think also you have to be very particular about casting children because a lot of them are just so-so. They haven't quite honed their craft yet. Some of them are just too young or inexperienced. Well, there are some really talented kids out there too. But with Star Wars, the kids tend to be really cute and they're able to memorize their lines, but that's about it. And I will say the little girl that plays Leia is really cute. She's a cute little girl, and I can see that she is just trying her best. She's doing the best she can, and I don't want to be too hard on her because she is just a kid, and I don't think anybody should be, really hard on these child actors. But I have to be honest, and I just don't think that she was right for this. I don't think she quite lived up to what a Star Wars property should live up to. Like, I just don't think she is a very good little actress yet, and maybe she will become one. I don't know, but I don't think this production helped her very much in getting there, which is too bad. So Leia is kidnapped, and her parents call in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Her parents, who are Alderaan royalty. They're powerful, wealthy people who are politically involved, but they call in Kenobi, who they know is in hiding on Tatooine for a very good reason. It's just kind of dumb. And I mean, I realize that's the only way to get him involved in that part of the story with Leia, but it seems illogical to me that they didn't have other resources, better resources, than calling in someone who they should not be endangering, especially since the Jedi are being hunted down and killed. Like, they should know not to ask him for this. And Kenobi, of course, goes after her, and a lot of just dumb things happen as Kenobi and Leia go from place to place, and they're chased by Reva, who's an Inquisitor, and then other Inquisitors and Stormtroopers and stuff along the way. I also think, you know, if we're looking to the future, it doesn't make a lot of sense that so many people were involved in this abduction and chase, trying to get this little girl back, and trying to get Kenobi, but then Leia is left alone by the Empire to grow up on Alderaan, and at some point we know that Kenobi returns to Tatooine and stays there until Luke meets him, you know, when he's older. So that's number 2. Number 3, and you've probably heard about these things before, but the show made some ridiculous, laughably dumb choices, like having Leia outrun her pursuers in a forest, like I mentioned before, which is just silly. We know a couple of things. First of all, these are grown men, maybe in women too, I don't know, but at least they're adults. Some of them aren't human, but whatever they are bipedal adults. And another thing that we know is that those blasters that they have can be set to stun. We saw that happen in A New Hope. So they could have just stunned her, picked her up, and been on their way. And like, there's no way a little girl with her short little legs could outrun them. So that's a really dumb one, and I don't want to belabor the point. A lot of people have talked about that. And another hilariously awful moment is when Kenobi and Leia are trying to escape this, I can't remember if it's a space station or what it is, but, you know, they're surrounded by Empire lackeys, and he hides her in his big long coat, but it's obvious there's another person under there. It's like the 3 sheep in a trench coat trying to get into the movies joke. So that one's kind of stupid too. Okay, 4th, I feel like the character of Reva was really wasted. I feel like she was not well written, and I feel like the actress, who is probably a decent actress, kind of overdid it with Reva. And I don't know how much of her performance is due to the script and how much is due to direction. Maybe the directors told her, we want more, we want more, we want more. But for me, she just came off kind of angsty and screechy and kind of ineffective as the villain. Remember when Darth Vader first hits the scene in A New Hope? We couldn't see his face, of course, so that kind of helped add to the menace. But the way that James Earl Jones delivered those lines, sometimes there was cool calculation, sometimes there was this threatening undercurrent, sometimes there was anger, but there was a lot of subtlety and character there. And I feel like Reva just, for whatever reason, she just does not deliver her lines that way. I'm sorry, I didn't look up the name of the actress who plays Reva, so I do apologize for not knowing it. I probably should have done that, but I feel like this actress probably has a lot of talent and is going to do great things, but this character is written as kind of a crazy woman who just screams a lot of her lines like some unhinged psycho. Reva's primary goal is to avenge her fellow younglings who were slaughtered by Anakin Skywalker. And I guess she must have thought she could do this better from the inside. But it would have made more sense, I think, for her to join the Rebel Alliance to fight against the Empire. And I also don't know if it's explained how she knew that Anakin was Vader. Maybe that's widely known among those who work for the Empire. But I also don't really understand why she got so hyper-focused on hunting Kenobi instead of focusing on her goal, which was to kill Vader. Like, maybe she's just easily distracted. I don't know. I think there was a throwaway line where she's like, if I can get Kenobi, then that'll lead me to be able to get Vader, something like that. But it doesn't make a lot of sense. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen. And another problem with the character is that she doesn't really seem to suffer the consequences of her choices very much. I mean, she gets stabbed in the stomach by Vader and then walks away. Like, that doesn't happen. A lightsaber is this incredibly powerful, high-temperature laser beam. People get cut in half by lightsabers. And in fact, there's a scene where Reva stabs the Grand Inquisitor in the stomach and he dies. So it's really illogical that she's able to survive that. I think she could have been better. I think the character could have been better if they had given her a storyline that made more sense. And if the actress had played it with a little bit more layered menace and less angst and anger. I am interested in seeing what she does in the future because, like I said, maybe she's an amazing actress and this show just really wasted her. I think that's probably the case. It wouldn't be the first time. Remember Finn from the sequels? He started out a fan favorite in the first one and then he was just kind of wasted and misused in the two movies that followed. And I know the actor John Boyega has even spoken out a little bit about that. I wish that these actors would kind of stand up for themselves. You know, if you're playing a character and it's not really doing you a service as an actor, maybe say something or, draw a line and be like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to go down that road. We're going to need to rewrite some of these scenes. I don't know. Maybe they don't have that much power, especially if they're not a super, big name actor. All right, so my fifth complaint about this show is Anakin Skywalker, of course. I thought it was hilarious that they had this middle-aged looking rat-tail-haired Anakin who was supposed to be young in these flashbacks with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hayden Christensen looks his age. He's about 40, or, I think he's 40, 41 now. So he was close to 40 when they filmed this. And they should probably have gone with a little bit later version of young Anakin, so that he could at least have the longer hair and maybe that would hide a little bit of his age. They didn't CGI him to look any younger, which is fine, except that he does really look older. He can't help it. Hayden Christensen has grown up a lot since those movies, like we all have. And I know that he was really excited to get to play Vader again, and I honestly think that the world needs to give him another shot as an actor. But this was maybe not the way to do it. Ewan McGregor looks a little older too, but it's not as significant a difference as with Hayden Christensen because he was already an adult, in the sequel movies or the prequel movies. Overall, I feel like this story died because it lacked a strong storyline and everything McGregor was given to do was kind of stupid. By the time Kenobi and Vader have their big showdown, I just really didn't care anymore. I know a lot of people said those were the best scenes in the show, but the stakes aren't very high in that conflict because we all know that they both survive, and the writing up to that point was kind of dull, and I had lost interest. I did finish it, but it wasn't like super fun. And I guess season 2 isn't a sure thing. They haven't greenlit it yet, which I think is fine. They don't need to make a second season of this. I don't think it was a big enough hit to justify it. Some people liked it, and that's great, but I am a little bit more, I guess, picky about my entertainment. I want more from Star Wars, especially. So I feel like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is another example of a prequel product that we didn't really ask for, like the Han Solo movie, which was just okay. I hoped I would like this, especially because I think Ewan McGregor is great, but I just didn't like it. And it was almost the last straw for me with the Disney Star Wars properties, but I heard such good things about Andor that I decided to give it a look, and that redeemed the franchise a little bit in my opinion. So I'll be posting a review of that one also hopefully today. But those are my thoughts about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. If you disagree with me, tell me why in the comments. If you agree with me, tell me why in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. And again, I appreciate you watching. If you would support my channel by clicking subscribe, that would be amazing. And I will see you in the next video.